Welcome back to another episode of the show. We are dedicating this episode to your Instagram follower count. Now, I know you probably see posts out there saying that's a vanity metric. You shouldn't care about followers. Well, I'm actually going to say I don't agree with that anymore. I used to be one of the people that would say follower count doesn't mean anything, but follower count does signal authority. Follower count signals credibility. Because, well, think about it, right? If you go and look at somebody's Instagram account because you see one post from them that triggers your curiosity and makes you tap on their profile and head over and have a look, if you were to go onto that profile and they had 500 followers versus if you were to do it to someone else who had 500,000 followers, you would instantly think that the person who had 500,000 followers was more credible, was more knowledgeable, was more of a genius, was more worthy of you tapping the follow button. And I kind of hate that that's true, but it is, right? It is. Even though the person with 500 followers could have way more experience, way more knowledge, way more trust, way more credibility in their work, but because their follower count is 500, not 500,000, as an audience member, as somebody that's just stumbled across their account, you would rule them out as somebody, oh God, I've got to go follow this person. You would maybe rule that person out and choose the person with 500k followers instead. I hate that it's true, but it is, okay? Now, for the longest time, you guys have been asking me about, visibility and growing your audience and how best to do it. And I'll be honest, there's been times where I feel like a fraud. I felt the imposter syndrome of the fact that I do teach Instagram to my clients, but when my follower growth was stagnant, and it was stagnant for years, I felt a little bit like, well, who am I to teach this? Because my follower growth is hardly moving. Yeah. And so I've now cracked it. I feel like I've really, really finally cracked it. And I want to teach you how to crack it too. The good news is it's way simpler than I ever thought, and therefore way simpler than I think you are making it right now. Okay. Now, I'm currently waking up to at least 40, 50 followers a day. And when I look at the end of the day, it's usually that the needle has moved by about 100 followers a day. Okay. Even though my account was flat a few weeks ago. So in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about trial reels, why trial reels is your best way to grow your following. We're going to talk a lot about hooks. I'm going to invite you to come and do my Instagram growth sprint, which is happening on the 1st of August. I will put a link for you below in the show notes. And also you can get the link if you message me on Instagram, sprint30. Don't put a gap in between it, just put sprint30. Then I will send you over a personal invite to join me inside a 30-day follower growth sprint. Now, the tickets to do this are like 30 quid, right? So if you want to grow your followers, this is not an investment that's going to be like, oh no, this is a difficult choice. It's £30. It's £1 per day. And I am certain that you will grow 300. I feel very confident in saying 500. I still feel confident. 1,000. Some of you will show up strong and do that. Yeah. So this is not for the girls who, I sound like I'm having a go at you, but this is the truth, right? This follower growth sprint is not for the shiny object syndrome people amongst you. And I know some of you will feel very called out when I say that. This is for the women who can commit, who have the daily discipline to commit to 30 days of a strategy. Okay. If you can give me 20 minutes a day in August, 20 minutes, that's all, I will show you how to literally explode your Instagram account for £30, right? This is crazy, but it's happening, right? The tickets are being sold now. We've already got, I don't know how many actually, at least 25, 30 of you in, and I have room for more. Okay. So if you want to come and do the Instagram growth sprint, check out below in the show notes, message me on Instagram, sprint30, and I'll send you over an invite. But let's get into what we're here to talk about today for the podcast. Trial reels is the strategy. Okay, now trial reels, if you're not familiar with what that is, trial reels is a function that Instagram brought out probably about a year ago now. I'm guessing. I don't know that for a fact. It's probably about a year. And for a while, I wasn't leveraging it. It just felt like extra work. It just felt hard. So I didn't really explore it. And then I started to see how people were growing their account using trial reels. And the best way for me to describe what trial reels are, it's like a separate room on Instagram. It's a separate algorithm. Trial reels work completely different to everything else on Instagram. When you post a trial reel, it only gets shown to non-followers. None of your current followers will see a trial reel. It's in a completely separate algorithm, okay? Which means that you should be talking to a cold audience. These people do not know you. So there's no nurture, there's no trust building, there's no hi guys, there's no welcome back, there's none of that. These people are freezing cold strangers. They do not know you. So trial reels should give you the confidence to try new things, try new messaging. It's a safe, separate room where you can test out new hooks, have some fun, play around with different content ideas, maybe things that you wouldn't want to post on your grid. Trial reels is going to put you in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of potential new clients. Now, one of my clients the other day, this is a really good reason why you need to come and do the sprint with me. I taught her how to use the sprint method that I've created. She used it and literally signed £600 of sales from one trial reel. And like I said, these are strangers, okay? They didn't know her, but what she was selling was so compelling, was so grounded in the identity of the person that was reading that trial reel, the problem that they had, the awareness that they had of that problem, and their readiness and willingness to want to solve it. And she made £600 from a trial reel to a freezing cold audience, okay? So yes, you might see people say, oh, follower growth is all vanity metrics and visibility doesn't make you sales. Getting visible doesn't pay the mortgage. Well, yes, it can. It can. Because if somebody is so urgently wanting to solve a problem and your post proves that you are the person to solve it and that you have the thing that solves it, you can make sales to strangers. It is possible to do it. This is why I don't want you sleeping on this strategy, okay? Now, the little Rach pep talk side of this is I want to say most women I see give up too soon. Yeah, now I want you to come and do the sprint with me. I want you to try trial reels, but I want you to know that it takes commitment. If you're somebody that loves a new strategy, but you want instant gratification, trial reels is not it. Because it's going to take at least probably 7, 10, maybe 14 days before you get traction. And in that time, I want you to prioritize testing. This is how I first got started with it. I tested different hooks. And when I found one that took off, I dug in and I rinsed and repeated it over and over and over. One thing that I am not is the smartest woman in the room. I'm definitely not the smartest woman in the room, but I am the most relentless. And this is what I want you to remember about trial reels. If you post a couple of trial reels, hoping to hit this number that I've given you, if you could get 100 followers a day, and you do 2 days of posting a couple of trial reels a day, and then you end up thinking, what was Rach talking about? I'm not seeing those numbers. What a load of crap. This doesn't work for me. Well, then I'm sorry, but this will never work for you, because this is not for instant gratification. This is for commitment. This is for discipline. This is for somebody that is prepared to really put in the effort. It's not an overnight fix, okay? Now, I've learned a lot of things in all of my testing, and I'm going to give you some of those things now. Some of what I learned I already knew, because I developed my fans content framework, and the F of fans stands for follower growth. I kind of already knew the type of content that would get follower growth. It's just that Instagram has made it super easy for us by giving us the trial reels algorithm. And obviously I already understood buyer psychology and how ready buyers need to be for them to take action. And you probably hear me talking about buyer psychology all of the time, okay? But the key things that you need to know: hooks do 95% of the heavy lifting. I want you to avoid writing hooks like you're talking to your warm audience, and instead write hooks that are for cold strangers. Yeah, they don't know you. So the hook needs to be short, it needs to be direct, and it does need to be maybe a bit spicy. I'm not saying be controversial for the sake of it, but controversy does generate comments, and comments will help you go viral. Yeah, comments keep the reel alive, keep the algorithm serving it out there. So if you can add a little bit of controversy, brilliant. But the one most important thing that you've got to do with your hook is make it curiosity driving. If there's no curiosity, then that hook is not going to hook. The more curiosity driving you make the hook, the more that you're going to drive the viewer down into the caption. Okay, now if you hear people talking about hooks, you will know that you can get visual hooks, you can get verbal hooks, yeah, you can get like movement hooks, so like a shaky camera, the text on the screen, the maybe you clear your throat at the start of the video. I did a hook the other day. It was actually on a paid ad. It was me slurping an iced coffee, but the video's doing really well because it's hooky. Yeah, because you can hear that my ice is shaking around in the cup. The straw is in my mouth. You can hear a little slurp of me drinking my coffee, and then I start speaking. And so from a readership point of view, from a viewer point of view, they instantly stop the scroll because they're like, what's this? Like, who's this woman slurping her coffee? I can hear the ice moving around. What's she got to say? So the hook does a lot of hooking. And as long as then what you say in those first like 3 seconds, and it could be, that this is a face to camera video, or it could just be a B-roll video. I do both, mostly B-roll. But if there's no curiosity and no hookiness in that first 3 seconds, they're going to carry on scrolling. So you've got to really stack the curiosity. And I like to use the little finger emoji, like the finger pointing down emoji. So that like points people down into the caption. And then once they're in the caption, your job is to share value, show your credibility, invite comments, and the most important thing is invite the follow. So when I invite the follow, I say something like, follow at Rach Howarth for more business growth strategies that work in 2026. Something like that. Something quite general, so that enough people will be like, oh, I want to see business growth strategies that work in 2026. I will follow her. Yeah. So the hook is for hooking. The hook is for stopping the scroll, probably not telling you anything that you don't already know, but I want you to explore curiosity. Yeah, I will put a link actually below this episode with a Google Doc. I've got a Google Doc that's got like 75 hooks. So I'll put a link for you to that below in the show notes. But focus on the hook. 95% of your effort with trial reels is on the hook. And then the rest of your effort needs to go on the caption for sharing value and inviting the follow. On the audio, now I've learned something with audio. Everyone used to say use trending audios under 1,000 uses, but I've been testing using other audios, using much bigger audios, ones with over 1 million views, uses. And I have to say, I'm seeing some really good traction with some of the really big audios that are very well used. Yeah. Now, the most important thing to remember is with trial reels, you get, this number I don't think has actually been verified by Instagram, but you can post 5 a day. I post 5 a day. I've heard some people post 7 a day. I've even heard somebody post 20 a day. That is excessive, but she didn't get stopped from doing it. I've been told if you go over 5 a day, the algorithm will stop you posting anymore. So 5 a day is enough for me, and it's enough for you. And it's 5 a day that gets me around 100 followers a day. And I'm happy with that. Yeah. So the algorithm doesn't care if you repeat the caption, but it does care if you use the same hook. Okay. So when you hear me using numbers like 5 reels a day, I want you to remember that that doesn't have to be 5 completely fresh captions. You can repeat the same caption, but just don't repeat the same hook with the same B-roll. Okay? Now I'm going to break all of this down inside my Instagram follower growth sprint. So if you want the full lowdown, the full end-to-end strategy, then come and join the sprint. But the best way to save time with this is to use the Edits app, because that gives you the duplicate feature. So you can create a trial reel, you can have your captions saved in your notes app, and you can duplicate that reel and use the same caption as long as you adapt the hook. Okay? Now, the most important thing before we finish today's episode is, if you are not already reading the Insights dashboard and reviewing each individual reel to see which one gets the best results, then you are seriously missing massive parts of the strategy. Because how do you know what to post if you don't know what does well? And as part of the Instagram follower growth sprint, I'm going to teach you how to do really good viral research. And it's that viral research and using the dashboard that will show you exactly how to go viral. Like, I used to hear people talk about going viral, and I'll be honest, I just used to think it was luck. They just got lucky. But it's not luck, it's strategy. I can now predict exactly when I'm going to go viral and which hooks are going to get me there. Okay, and I'm going to teach you all this in the follower growth sprint. But what you need to be using is the Insights dashboard with my viral research formula, so that you then know how to save time, how to use the Edits app to duplicate and rinse and repeat the reels that are going to go really well for you. Yeah, they won't all go massively viral. I had one hit like 12.8 million views, so massively viral. And I've had others that have got me 200 followers from one reel that didn't even get over above 100,000. Yeah, so looking at the Insights dashboard, and each individual reel will show you what works, what doesn't work, what to do more of, and what to do less of. Okay, so I've given you loads of tips. I don't want to blow your mind apart. What I really want to do is give you enough excitement and enough enthusiasm to try this out, to give me 20 minutes a day in August so that I can teach you the strategy. You will get into a live WhatsApp group with me. Once you join the sprint, you'll be in a live WhatsApp group with me. And also, we're building out a portal so that you've got some resources and some videos and some training, and you will get lifetime access to that. Okay, so when we're doing the sprint live in August, you are live in a WhatsApp group. And then if you wanted to rinse and repeat this and do it again in September, October, November, do it anytime you want, then you will have lifetime access to the resources. Okay, but I've given you lots of info. Let me just give you a bit of a summary before we end this episode. Hooks do 95% of the heavy lifting on your trial reel. Avoid speaking like you're talking to your warm audience. Speak like you're speaking to strangers. Use curiosity to drive people into the caption. And then in the caption, share value, build credibility, and invite the follow. Okay? And then once you've done that, make sure that you're using the Insights dashboard to review what works and to do more of it. Okay? Hope this has been useful. I do not want you feeling like the best kept secret. I do not want you feeling invisible. I want more people able to find you and hire you and benefit from your amazing work. So comment Sprint 30 on Instagram or drop below into the show notes. Come and join me in the sprint, and let's grow your audience together.